will be us from you to pass the salt. But that's not what we're doing here today, huh? We're here to get information that's going to help make our lives better. So with that said, I'll say good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. I tell you what I've learned over these past 7+ years with 6 months and 7 days to go is that I'm going to be dropping hints. What I have learned is that we have to show up and do the things that we need to do for us. Nobody should be working harder on our behalf than we are. I've learned that, y'all. I learned a whole bunch of stuff, but that's for the back room because I can't share all of that with you. But that is exactly what I've learned, that we've got to do what we need to do for us and not wait around for somebody else to stand up and do it and then us complain how they do it. But I'm excited that you're here. We are moving forward on this thing. The last time we had a meeting was in May. Was it May? It was in May. And the plan was that we were going to get going and that August would be our time to begin to make our decisions as to the providers that we would use for electricity. This and that happened. It's a political game, y'all. Right, Matt? It is. And so here we are with all of that behind us. We're moving forward so that we can give folks choice in their electricity, as you have asked for. I saw them old nasty things on Facebook. We did, but man, I tell you what it also taught me is that when folks say something, you need to respond as well. So I'm glad that you guys have responded by being here today. I want to be sure that everyone has the paperwork that is needed this evening so that they may be able to keep up, and when time comes, that they have what they need to either show up and make a choice or do it from home. However, you should have a one-page item. It's a short version of this, the thick item, which is also the next piece that you should have. Also, I have with me some cards. You know, I'm always handing out cards because there may be some questions that individuals have that they may not want to ask while they're here. These questions do not necessarily have to pertain to the switch to ERCOT. You may want to have some other questions that you'd like to ask, and you may do so. So if during this time, if you would like a card to make those statements, ask those questions, you can do so, and there's also a place to put your name, phone, and address. Alrighty, make sure we get that done. Alrighty, and during the process, Mr. Matt Dotre, this is Matt Rose, that's Matt Dotre, he will be handing out a sign-in sheet. There wasn't a place out front, so he'll be taking this and handing out a sign-in sheet. Once you receive it, if you'll put your information on it, put your name, address, phone number. I think there's also a place, okay, just name and address and phone number. Please, it's important for that because if something comes up that we need to let you know, we want to make sure that we can reach out to you. Is that all right? Is that all right? All right. All righty, we're going to get started. This is the man. This is my main man, Matt Rose, with Lubbock Power and Life used to be. Now, the City of Lubbock Utilities. Did y'all pay attention to that on y'all bill? Okay. Because some folks didn't. I just want to make sure that you know what you're dealing with now. But we're going to provide the information, give dates, and all of that. And during this time, if you would lift your hand once he gets started, I'll drop a card off to you so that you can put your statement, comment, question, or whatever. And we also have writing utensils as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would we will bring to the stage Mr. Matt Rose, Mr. LP&L City of Lubbock Utilities man himself. I would also like for you guys to know that the pastor of this house, Pastor Solomon Fields, is a member of the board, the electric utility board for the city of Lubbock. Let me tell y'all something. Now I'm going to tell him, Pastor, There are things that happen that help to make the city move. And a lot of those things are boards and commissions that citizens can serve on. I'm dropping another hint here. So, and we're always looking for someone to serve. Always looking for folks to serve. And what I've learned is, and this my big brother taught me this, that if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. So it's best to find you a place at the table. So serving on boards and commissions, there are a lot of big ones, and the electric utility board is a big booger bear in this city, so that you know. So if you are interested, and even if you're not interested, think about it. Go to City of Lubbock, go to their page, under City Secretary's page, and look at the various boards. There are, how many boards? How many boards, Matt, for the city? No, it's 41. At least 41 boards. So they're of all kinds. There may be something that interests you. We have some folks who serve on our Animal Services Board. We have some folks that serve on our Transportation Board. We have, of course, Electric Utilities Board. There's all types of boards. Library boards, Parks and Rec Board. There's some of everything. So I invite you, I encourage you to do what you can, because after a while you may not have somebody to push you to do that, so you push you. All righty. So I just want to make sure you knew who you were dealing with. If you got somebody, you start rubbing shoulders with him, man, I tell you what, you're doing something. So that's all I got.
I won't disagree with it either.
You don't know. You do it.
Oh, sure. Sure. So, as she said, Matt Dotre in the back of the room works with the city council. Addison, who's been walking around passing stuff out as well. She's 11th floor. Jared Atkinson, who's been in and out, is the city manager. I've been introduced here. I'm going in and out a little bit. But Tanya here works with me at LP&L. She helps get the word out about this and other things. So I guess you've been on board with us for about 90 days now or so. So she's doing a fantastic job. A lot of the materials that you're seeing and that you'll see out in the community, she's put together. If I fade in and out, I apologize. Let's do this. Okay, let's try this one. All right, so looks like we've got our presentation up on the screen now, and you'll have to bear with me. I'm going to have to do a little bit of the next slide routine as we go through this. But really, I think the most important part of these presentations comes after that in the Q&A, because I want everybody to feel free to ask questions, even if you feel like it's been asked before. A lot of this process is getting out here and repeating this information over and over again, at least the base information, so that when it comes time for us to make this decision in about 90 days, that you'll have at least the resources at your disposal to make a good decision. This is a big decision for you, the ratepayers here in Lubbock. It's something new that we're doing here in Lubbock, but it's not something that's new across the state of Texas. About 10 million Texans across the state of Texas have been going through this process and picking their own provider for, about a little over 20 years now. Here in Lubbock, we had a version of competition for a number of years where you could pick one company or another company, and they built their structure on each side of the aisle, and you got to just pick which one you went with. That's very, very rare in our industry, and one thing it led to is a lot of what you see out there right now, which is a redundancy of equipment. We've got a lot of equipment out there that over the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to be taking out of the alleys and consolidating, and a lot of it comes from the overbuild that happened back during the competitive days. And it wasn't necessarily an overbuild of good equipment, as much as it was just kind of a base level. So I'll be going through a little bit of how our structure is going to change as we go through this process and bring competition to Lubbock. And I'll walk through a little bit of how you shop and how you make these decisions and some of the resources that are available to you. But what I would tell you is that it's very encouraging to me as I look out here that I see folks that went to 1 or 2 or 3 of these events when we kicked them off in the spring and are back here again today. I think it's great to see y'all out. And as Councilmember Patterson Harris said, I'm always in favor of people getting involved and getting on boards and commissions. And if you stick around here long enough, you're not going to have a choice. She's going to sign you up for one. So just know that. She's tried to sign me up for several of them, but I'm not allowed to because I work for the city. But Pastor Fields has been a great member of our board. And before that, he worked at LP&L for a number of years. So he's very, very knowledgeable, not just about what we're doing today, but the long history of how we got to today. And he's been a great asset and resource on our board. I also want to point out that Petra served on our board as well, and it was very, very nice to have you, as well as Stephanie Hill. Both served on our board. Both were great members, and so I appreciate your service as well. And thank you for bringing folks out today. It's always nice, and it always helps in this discussion. So as it was mentioned, and as I'm sure you're aware, we began the process of educating folks on this project in the spring. At that point in time, we had received every single one of our government approvals that we needed. And the last one that we needed to get approved was on the federal level with what's called the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and it was so that we could resolve one final contract so that we could move all of our customers to ERCOT and that competition could begin. Unfortunately, when that went to D.C. to be approved, as sometimes happened, you had some folks show up and decide that they wanted to intervene in that process, and so they did. And it caused, us to have about a 4-month delay on this project as we worked that out. But it got worked out, and, it's frustrating, but it's good. It ended up getting resolved. We ended up in the same place where we started. It just delayed us by about 4 months. But sometimes that happens when you're going through and getting these types of things approved on multiple levels of government, local, state, and federal. So with that approval, we now have all of these dates locked in, and we're ready to move forward with this new path. So the first thing that needs to happen is that we need to move the remaining customers that are hooked up to the Southwest Power Pool over to the ERCOT market. If you remember Memorial Day of 2021, we moved most of the customers here in Lubbock over to ERCOT. It was during Memorial Day. It was over 2 days. And we moved about 70% of our customers over. Those that remain need to be moved over. They are geographically, they're spread evenly across the city. Because again, if you go back to that days when we had the competition alley by alley, whoever you were hooked onto is who you were hooked onto today. So basically, if you were hooked onto LP&L in 2010, those were our legacy wires, and that's what we moved over to ERCOT and connected in 21. If you were with Southwestern Public Service or Excel, you're on that set of wires, and those are the ones that we need to now connect to the greater system, and therefore everybody is in ERCOT, the state grid. The reason that we made the move to ERCOT was a number of reasons, but one of the main reasons was it allowed us to pursue competition. If we had stayed in the Southwest Power Pool, we would not have been able to go down this road. We would never have been able to offer customer choice here in Lubbock. So a big reason why we moved to ERCOT was for this purpose. But we're now at this point where in the middle of December 11th through 15th, we'll move those remaining customers over, and we'll go through a similar public information process as we did then, where we will send out postcards. We'll have a tool on our website that you can type in your meter number to see if you're affected or not, and when you could relatively expect to see a short momentary outage as we unplug you from one side and plug you into the other. But once we get through that migration in the middle of December, 100% of our customers will be hooked onto the ERCOT market in Texas, and this project goes forward. And we will then be at a point where on January 5th, we will be able to open up a shopping window where you can go out and pick your new provider. And you'll have 6 weeks to do this. You'll have January 5th through February 15th to make a decision. And then once we get to February 15th, the shopping window will close, and we will be doing all of the work behind the scenes to make sure that everybody is connected to where they need to be connected to their chosen provider. And then starting on March 4th, we will begin the process of transferring you to your new provider. And what that will look like is when you get your City of Lubbock utility bill in March, there will be a final charge for Lubbock Power and Light. And then going forward, starting in April, you will get your electric bill from your chosen provider. And then your other 4 city services outside of LP&L that are currently housed on that utilities bill, they will continue on as they are today. There's no change. Lubbock Power and Light will still be here, but your bill from City of Lubbock Utilities for water and those other services, those will continue to go on, and our charges we will get through your new provider's bill, and I'll explain that a little bit here in a second. So I think at this point, I'll walk through these slides. I'll try to go as quickly as I can through some of this general information. And then, like I said, I'll offer plenty of time for questions on the back end, and I'll be here as long as y'all need if you want to talk to me one-on-one. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So as I was saying, what is retail competition? In a sense, retail competition for electricity, choosing your provider, is like signing up for a cell phone or an internet plan. Is that you're going out and you're shopping for where you want to get your power from, and you're making decisions on who the provider is, what the cost looks like, what you're paying for it, and what the term of your contract is. And as I say, this will start in January 2024. Next slide. After we make this transition, LP&L is going to continue to be here, and we will continue to deliver the electricity that you have chosen from your provider. We are still going to be the ones that own and maintain and invest in the electrical grid here in Lubbock. If you look across the state of Texas in areas where they have competition, this is exactly how it is run. You will go out and pick company A, B, C, or D to buy your power from, but there's one company, one entity that maintains the poles and the wires and all of the electrical infrastructure. There's Encore, there's CenterPoint, there's AEP. Soon it will be LP&L. These folks do not sell electricity. They don't buy and sell electricity to you. They just maintain the lines that the electricity runs over. So our linemen will still be out in the field if you have outages. You will either call us directly or you'll call the outage number on the rep's bill that you have picked. But either way, it's coming back to us, and our linemen today will still be the ones out in the field fixing the line if a tree falls in it. Our engineers will still be doing the work to plan for the future, right? Our finance team and all those folks will be making sure that we're making investments in the grid. All of that remains. The difference is, next slide. Oh, sorry, go back one. There you go. The difference is, like LP&L, we will not buy and sell electricity on your behalf. Today, we buy power for all of our customers, and then we spread it across our rate base and recoup that cost on our bill. We will step out of that business, and you will pick who you choose your power, or you buy your power from, and we will simply deliver it. We will not be sending bills directly to you, the customer. So when you get your bill from your provider, and I've got a slide here in a second that'll kind of show you this, but when you get your bill from your provider, you will have the cost for your provider, and then you will have our cost for maintaining the electrical infrastructure and delivering the power. Again, that's the way that it runs across in Dallas and Houston and in these cities near us like San Angelo and Midland, right? On your bill, you're going to pay for the product you buy, but you're also going to pay for it being delivered to your home. So if you'll go to the next slide. This is how our business looks today, and therefore this is how your rate looks today. I know it can be a little bit hard to see for the people in the back of the room. I apologize. But right now today, the light blue box is our base rate. It makes up 1/3 of your electric rate. And this covers every single thing that we do at Lubbock Power and Light outside of buying your power. So all the money that we're putting into the lines and new transformers and all of this equipment goes there. All of our operational cost, buying trucks, everything goes in that light blue box, and it's 1/3 of your rate. 2/3 of your rate, the dark blue box, is simply what it costs us to make or buy power that we pass through to you. And so today, you get that bill where you've got your power cost and you've got your delivery cost. Next slide, please. After we go to competition, that light blue box continues to be us, but the orange box is now your chosen power from your provider, right? So it's the same structure. I get this a lot, and I see it a lot on social media where people say, well, I don't really understand because it just seems like now we're just going to get double billed, right? What you need to understand is that you have to get the power delivered to your home. Somebody has to maintain the lines in order for there to be reliable power. And we'll continue to do that as we do today. Only difference is you get to choose where the product comes from. So we're not adding any cost to this. We're just splitting this into two pieces so that we maintain the roads, and then whatever you buy can safely be delivered to your home. And then we maintain during outages. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned to you, the next step is that December 11th through 15th, like I say, we're going to migrate the 30% of remaining customers. January 5th through February 15th will be the open houses. Next slide, please. Next one. So, what can you do now? What you can do now is you can begin to learn about this process, and you can begin to learn about who these providers are that are going to be here and are going to be operating in Lubbock, providing you power. So I'd say start with the website, and if you go to the website here on the home page, click the read more. Next slide. First thing you're going to see is just kind of a general map of how we got to today and what we have left to do. As you can see, we're getting towards the final stretch of this. Next slide. We have animated videos, and we're about to add 2 more on there that walk you through the process of what is competition and how you shop and things that you need to look for. Next slide. Now, we put some new things on the page here recently, and it's a big difference from when I was out here in the spring talking to you. We now have all of the retail electric providers that will be able to provide you electricity, ones that you can sign up with. We now have those listed on the website. And they're also on the back of the larger packet that you have today. Right at the start, and here's the thing to know about these reps. These reps have gone through extensive testing at the Public Utility Commission in order to make sure that they've got the financial bandwidth to be in this market. They're regulated by the PUC. They then had to go through a long testing process with us to make sure that all of our systems aligned. But we're starting out with 34 listed reps or retail electric providers on the website. In a minute, I'll show you how that list is not quite as long as you think it is, but what I'll say up front is this. There are 34 folks that are listed, but not all of these providers serve both residential and business and offer rates for people that have solar panels, right? Each one's going to do a little bit different. So there's going to be some of these providers that are only offering plans to businesses. There's some of these that are offering to residential and business customers. I think maybe 1 or 2 that are just residential. But the point is, all of these, you can go through this list. We've got their numbers, we've got their websites listed, and we've got hyperlinks so you can click through. Next slide, please. The frequently asked questions section of the website's important. I'm not going to stay too long on this because y'all know what frequently asked questions are. But I will just tell you that that list has gotten so long that we put a search bar in there now because we're getting a lot of good questions from these events. But just know that some of your questions that y'all asked tonight will go towards modifying these FAQs and even adding more on there. Next slide, please. Okay, now here we go. Next slide. The powertochoose.org is the state-sanctioned website that you can go through in order to pick a provider. You do not have to go through the powertochoose.org website, but it is certainly a good tool for you to see most all of the offerings that are going to be here in Lubbock. And so I want to talk and focus a little bit on the Power to Choose website and how you can maneuver through it.